Hello everyone, and welcome back to StoneBlock. Okay everyone, so in the last episode, we went through Ars Nouveau, and in doing so, we unlocked some of the basic things that you can do with the Ars Nouveau mod. Namely, this ritual that we do have boxed up at the moment. This is the Ritual of Containment, and you'll see why there's a lectern there shortly. Among other things, like unlocking more spells for our spellbook, and how to contain mobs in jars to farm them for resources. Now, in the last episode, we were trying to work on finding Drigmies, but we were unsuccessful. I'm proud to report that we do have a way to get Drigmies, and I've actually already unlocked them, and made a few Drigmy charms, which we will be using today. So you may be like, Dylan, how did you get Drigmies? Well, let me show you. Over here, we have the Archwood Forest. Yeah, this is how we got our Drigmies. So, what I did was, Ars Nouveau actually has rituals that you can do in the Ritual Brazier, and it is called the Tablet of Conjure Island, Archwood Forest. So I essentially just placed the brazier right here in the middle with nothing below it, and just kind of let it fill out this whole space, and then it placed all these grass blocks, and as you can see in the top right, changed the biome to the Archwood Forest, allowing things like Drigmies to spawn, along with Whirly Sprigs and this guy. So yeah, that's how we got our Drigmies. And from those Drigmies, we gave them a Wilden Horn, and then they gave us the Drigmy token. And then I did this simple little recipe using our enchantment apparatus that we crafted in the last episode to make the Drigmy charm. And as you can see, I did do a little bit of expansion. This now sits on a proper chunk border, so it is a 2x3. And for those of you that may have spotted this on the map, there is an additional room that I have not shown you yet. Let's go check it out. Everyone, welcome to the Ars Nouveau room. I haven't done the roof yet, but this is where we're going to house all of our Ars Nouveau stuff for now, until we need to make it bigger. We have our farm here with the agronomic source link and a source relay splitter that I made. And that will essentially take all of the source that we are making and send it out to all of these different jars. And from that, you just take the Dominion wand and right click on a source jar, and it will send it to the jar. Now I did do that already. I don't know why it made me do that again, but maybe we'll have to do that from time to time. Hopefully not though. And then I also put some villagers in containment jars. We have a mending villager, we have an efficiency 5 villager, and we have an unbreaking villager, and our Fluix researcher. So I mentioned in the last episode that we would pretty much have a goal now at the start of these episodes. So you may be wondering, what is the goal for today's episode? Well, I have made this handy dandy clipboard that is going to tell us all that I plan to accomplish in this episode. I updated you guys on the Drigmies and how I got them, and now we need to set up the Drigmies in the Ars room. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to grab the materials from the chest here. You need a piece of mossy cobblestone that will form the Drigmy hinge, the Drigmy charms, and then any containment jars that you want to farm. And then a barrel for the Drigmies to store their resources in. Now I think I'm going to place the Drigmy farm right about here. So to start, you need to place your source jar on the left, the mossy piece of cobblestone in the center, and your storage on the right. And then you right click the mossy cobblestone with a Drigmy charm, and it will make a Drigmy hinge. And when the animation finishes, a Drigmy will spawn, and it will look for nearby containment jars. As you can see, he's trying to pull from the villagers, but they're not really going to give him anything. So you need to place down some mobs that actually have a loot drop, such as the Wilden Defender, Hunter, and Stalker. So I'm going to place those down right here. And eventually he should start to try to pull from those containment jars. There you go. You can see he's now trying to pull from these jars. And to spawn additional Drigmies, you just hold the Drigmy charm in your hand and you right click, and it will spawn more Drigmies. For now, I'm actually going to take away these containment jars and place them over here in this corner, which is hopefully out of the range of the Drigmies, so that they won't try to keep farming these guys. I want them to focus on the mobs that actually have drops, so we'll just place them over here. I think you do need to provide them with source, so I am going to take the Dominion wand and just make sure that this jar is being filled. Alright, well that is that marked off. Now let's go ahead and meet all of the new echoes. So first up, it looks like we're going to meet the Fabricator. Here we go, here's the Fabricator. Ooh, looks like this is the Oratech guy. Pretty cool looking room you've got here, dude. Oh, wonderful. A new person to bother me. You might have already met my younger brother, the machinist. A real genius, that one. That's not his real name, of course, but you didn't come here for family stories, did you? I'm assuming you're after that world engine upgrade. Let's get this over with so I can go back to actively ignoring everyone. This next upgrade isn't anything spectacular. I'll be showing you how to work with thermodynamics so you can send heat into the world engine. Not as impressive as what the other echoes offer, but it's what I've got. To start, a superheating element will give you a good foundation for a resistive heater. There are other options out there if you're clever enough to figure them out, but this one will work to start things off. You're going to need a ton of power to kick this thing into high gear, so make sure your power infrastructure is up to par, or you'll regret it. Task: craft a resistive heater. Alright, well, that guy was kind of rude. Let's go meet the next person, the Echo of the Enchanter. Alright, there we are. The Archive of the Enchanter was tucked away back here. Hello, sir. You seem to have a lot of books here. Maybe you'll be somebody smart, not mean like the other guy. Do you too seek the power of the deep? It has been many eons since I wove the theory of enchantments, an art still practiced to this day, and now it seems you are the next in line to walk this path. May your fate be better than the nitwits who fail to control the deep and turn this realm to stone. To claim your world engine upgrade, you must follow my instructions carefully, lest the deep consume you. Begin by delving into the depths of the world, where a dark and ancient power lingers. Within its lair, you may uncover echo shards that carry the essence of the deep. Alternatively, you may encounter a certain explorer who has returned with echo shards of his own. Completing the Wayfinder's task should persuade him to trade some, if you, like many others, prefer to avoid the dangers of the deep. Task: acquire an echo shard. Do you want us to find an ancient city? Bring it on. Lastly, it looks like we need to meet the Wayfinder, so let's go find him. Ah, here he is. He's right next to the fabricator. Ooh, what in the world is all of this stuff? That's pretty cool. What do you have to say? Well met, traveler. Are you seeking a new adventure, or perhaps a new path in life altogether? While I cannot promise you the latter, I can point you toward a certain vault that may satisfy your adventurous spirit. Most of your journeys so far have relied on an ordinary travel medium such as walking or running. Effective, yes, but hardly efficient. Hidden deep within the deep slate lies a vault, rumored to contain technology capable of translocating your very atoms from one place to another in the blink of an eye. Such a discovery would be invaluable to us. Ah, and what's in it for you? Well, chronoton stars are supposedly safeguarded by a powerful being within this vault, and these are essential for upgrading your world engine. These stars may be infused with glass to create chronoton glass, a material said to bend time and space to your command. The task ahead may require a little out-of-the-box thinking. Task: retrieve a chronoton star from the vault and craft at least 36 chronoton glass. Okay, looks like we need to do a lot more than I thought we would have to do in this episode, but it's a task that I think I can handle. Though I will say the fabricator mentioned that we'll need a lot of power for this, which ties perfectly into our next task, digging out a lava pit and then getting into power using magmators and the pipes mod for power. And that does kind of play into this right here, an infinite lava source. If you dig a 25 by 25 by 16 pit and then use a hose pulley on lava that you've placed at the top layer of this pit, so you need a total of 625 source blocks of lava, and if you let it drain down until you get 10,000 blocks of lava, you will get an infinite lava source, which you can pull out from infinitely using a hose pulley. So that is how we're going to get our power generation up to par. But this is also important. We will need Endermen for their Ender Pearls, so we're going to try to get one and put it in a jar. I'll come back to you when I've found an Enderman. And I will say I did add one additional mod to the pack, and that is Easy Auto Cycler. As you can see here, the mod pack does come with the ability to cycle trades out of the box, but I don't know about you guys, but I've broken place select turns 1,000 times, and I've clicked this button 1,000 times, and there's a lot of the time where you get the trade you want, but you just pass it. So eventually I found this mod, which is the Auto Cycler, which you can add a filter for any enchantment you want. In this case, I want the protection enchantment, and you can add the enchantment level, and you can even change the payment item. Say, for example, something like all the Mons. They had Poke coins, and you use those for the villagers, so you had to put the Poke tokens in here instead. So you just save the filter, and then click the button to toggle auto cycling. And there you go. Finds it really quick. And we have the Protection 4 book for 43 emeralds. So I'm going to lock him in and get him placed down, and then continue on finding the Enderman. And checking back in on our Drigmies, you can see that they farmed up the Wilden Horns, Spikes, and Wings, and also given us some experience gems, which is pretty useful. Oh my goodness, guys, an Enderman spawned. Holy. Go, go. Get in the box. Get in the jar. Yes! We got our enderman in a jar. Oh, let's go. Now we're going to be able to give him to the Drigmies and get infinite ender pearls. Yes! So we can mark that off the list. And I also managed to get a jar with a skeleton in it as well. A little bit of a mistake, but we'll throw him in here. Why not? Absolutely beautiful. I came back to check on the Drigmies, and they've gotten us some ender pearls. Oh my goodness, I've needed these for so many recipes, namely stuff like the void upgrade and certain upgrades for my backpack, because I have this pickup upgrade, but I really want the magnet upgrade. So that is the next thing I'm going to make. It's going to make digging out this pit a lot easier. It'll be able to collect all of the stone for me very easily. Absolutely amazing. And it even kept the stone and cobblestone in the magnet for me without any issues. And as you can see here from the stuff that's in my backpack, I have decided to kind of clear out the mob area, which means we will have to move some of our drawers, but we'll move them over here. And that's mainly because I want to just keep this giant open hallway in the center, and I think this will be easier to do that with. Looks like we just hit 25 hours. Doing a lot more clearing out, guys. I actually moved the main hallway 7 blocks over so that the middle of it will align with 0. That is a much better way to have it. So I think what I'm going to do is place the lava pit over here in this section, because it's going to take up a total of 4 chunks. So I'm going to go ahead and dig out this area. Okay, and now we have our 25 by 25 by 16 hole that we're going to fill with lava for our infinite lava source. Now, to do that, I did have the lava chicken going in the background while I did all this, and a little bit more AFK before I did all of this, and I actually got 1,000 lava eggs, which should be enough because I think we only need 625 to just fill the first layer of this. So we're going to place down some temporary blocks and then break them and let the lava flow down. And I use the teleporter to just triple check. This is 25 by 25 by 16. And that will give you 10,000 buckets of lava in here exactly, which is what we need for an infinite lava source. Okay, and now we have our 625 lava eggs portioned out. And now to fill in this massive hole, I'm not going to do it by hand. I'm actually going to use the hose pulley because we need this to pull out the lava. We also need it to put the lava in. If you pipe in lava through a hose pulley, through something like a tank, it will actually place it down, which is what we want to do. So what I'm going to do is craft up a hose pulley, a tank, and a few pipes. I believe I have to use the world engine to craft these pipes. Yes, I was correct. These are the ones that we're going to be using from the pipes mod. All right, we've got those pipes crafted up. Now I did tear down the create stuff, so we are going to have to use the old-fashioned way to get the copper plates using just the press and a hand crank. Now I did end up actually buying a hand crank from the Echo of the Machinist because you might as well. And I just made it the large crank wheel just because. It works just the same, it just has a large cogwheel on it because it might be useful in the future for just maybe like if I need to mill something real quick or do what I'm about to do, which is just do one press on one ingot to make one plate, like so. All right, and now we have our hose pulley, and I think that should be all that we need besides just a simple tank from Mechanism to store all of our fluids in. And I think a smart block to be my temporary block is just going to be oak planks, because think about it, if I place down a bunch of oak planks, then what's going to happen when I place down all the lava? It's just going to burn, and then it's going to fall down. So yeah, I think that is going to be my temporary block, because anything that I miss will just get burned. Okay, and now we have all of the temporary blocks placed. So now what I'm going to do is place down our hose pulley, and I'm going to do it so that it's going to deposit all of the lava in such a way that it will place it onto this block here. So I'm going to take my pipe, run it into the tank. Now is not a good time for a creature to approach. I'm going to knock you into the lava pit. Where are you, goat? Get out of here. What'd you bring me? You brought me a gold ingot. All right. So now I'm going to take my lava eggs. I'm going to right click them into the tank. That is the wrong lava layer. There we go. It just had to go one more down. So yeah, I'm going to start taking my lava eggs and clicking them into the tank. And as this fills up, it's going to just place all of the lava for me. I'm not going to have to do it myself. And I am actually able to craft some pipe upgrades, which will make the pipe pump faster into the hose pulley, thereby increasing the placement speed of our lava. There we go. Now you see it's keeping up with me being able to click it in. So I'm just going to get all of these clicked into the tank. Well, it looks like you can actually just shift click them into the tank. It really does act like a lava bucket. That is much easier than right clicking. Wow. Okay, well that was 625 eggs, but it did not quite fill it. That's okay, we do have extra. I'm gonna guess it's some quirkiness with the hose pulley, because I know my math is right. 25 but times 25 is 625. Okay, it would appear that this is all of the lava that has been placed. So what I'm now able to do is use my wrench to pick up this tank. Thank God the upgrade did not go in the lava. Pick up our pipes, and then all we need to do is break the planks. I think what I want to do is actually come down into the tank and break from below just to make sure that it all breaks. I can do something like this where I dig a small trench with this hammer, and then oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. What I meant to do was this. And then I can dig a small trench here and use the small tunnel on FTB Ultimine and just do all of the oak planks this way. All right, here we go. All right, all of the planks have been broken. I'm just gonna use the construction stick here and a little bit more of this stone to make sure that all of the lava only stays in the tank. It does not seep out here. It doesn't look like it's going to, but better safe than sorry. All right, and now we have our gorgeous lava pit. It is 25 by 25 by 16 for a total of 10,000 lava blocks. Now, only the top has to be source blocks. The rest of it flows down. So you do need to take your hose pulley and go all the way down to the bottom. And I did craft up a fresh tank as well to use for this. I'm going to take my fluid pipes and pipe upgrade, and as you can see, we're going to start pulling out from here. And we have the advancement, tapping the mantle. Pump from a body of lava large enough to be considered infinite. And the loopy did just spawn, but it spawned in the lava, so he just kind of died. And yeah, we can put our pipe upgrade in there, and that will pump out our lava really fast. And this is an infinite source of lava. It will last forever without fail. So that is another goal that we can cross off. Now we need to figure out how to make magmators. Looks like we're going to need some more dielectric paste, casings, and capacitors. Let's go ahead and craft up those now. Alright, and now we're able to craft our magmator. Now this does only generate 10 FE per tick, but the good thing about POW is that you can always upgrade. And this one is the basic tier, and it generates 40 FE per tick. And we can keep going and make this one if we had the energized steel to make it, and this one generates 100 FE per tick. To get energized steel, you need to make an energizing orb, some energizing rods, and then throw in an iron ingot and a gold ingot, and you'll get energized steel. So what I'm going to do is use this magmator, throw it in there, and then I'm going to make an energizing orb and a couple energizing rods and teach you guys how to use power. You know what, guys? It looks like we need the temperature upgrade for the world engine to be able to craft the energizing orb, so let's go ahead and do that quest now. Okay, so the first thing that we need to make is the superheating element. Looks like you need steel casing, magnetic coils, and infused alloy for that, along with some power. And we also need an ultimate thermodynamic conductor, which means we do need to make some atomic alloy and some other things from mechanism, but I've done this before. It's no big deal. And I am going to go ahead and craft the enrichment chamber for mechanism. This is a good upgrade because it will allow us to enrich our resources, therefore giving us a higher return in our metallurgic infuser, because these enriched alloys I think are 8 times better than just putting in whatever this is. So if you refine something like an enriched diamond and throw it in, you can see it gives 80 instead of 10, and as you can see it says infusing efficiency. Alright, and now we have some atomic alloy. And using that, we can make our ultimate thermodynamic conductor. And it looks like the alloy smelter we made in between one of the previous episodes is going to be useful because we need to make Invar, and we need 2 iron for every 1 nickel ingot. So we're going to make some Invar alloy using our alloy smelter. And we're doing that because we need it for the magnetic coil, which we need for the superheating element. Okay, and using our infinite lava source, I'm actually going to be able to make another thing from Create a boiler. And that is going to be able to allow me to produce stress units way easier than with a bunch of water wheels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the lava being piped in over here to our blaze burner. And to do that, I'm going to need a rolling mill, because you can use the rolling mill to create the straw from a piece of paper, and that will allow the blaze burner to accept fluids. I'm then going to put a couple of these on there. Oops, they filled with lava. That's okay though, we have an infinite amount. And I'm going to plop a steam engine on the side, and then you also need a shaft, which I will get, and then from there you are able to produce power as long as you provide this with water. So what I have here is a water tank from SFM, and if you put 2 water buckets next to it, it will act as an infinite water source, which you can then pump into there, and that will put our water in. And then now I just need to supply lava to the blaze burner, and there's our rolling mill. And then now we just need a piece of paper to use for a straw. You can just throw it in the top like so and roll it up, and it will make a straw. So now we can give our straw to the blaze burner, clear this connection. I believe we should be able to place our shaft here. I know what the issue was. We still had that lava inside the tank. Now it will work, because now we have the fluid tanks on there. Does this need to be bigger? I'm not quite sure why this isn't working, but we're going to make some goggles and get down to the bottom of this. Okay, so it looks like it needs to be bigger. Does it need to be 4 tall? Yes. There we go. So it needs to be 4 tall. That's why I made 4. I just wasn't 100% sure. So as you can see, by wearing the goggles, it gives us this menu, and this tells us about everything that we need to know. And as you can see, this boiler is making 16,000 stress units. Way more than our water wheels ever could. And I'm now burning in lava. Ow. So now we could just connect this up again, but I want to set up another gear ratio. So I'm going to do that really quick. All right. And we are now spinning at the fastest speed. And I'm going to use these chain drives to be able to place all of my different Create components down. And there we go. Now we should just be able to place our press down with a depot, and this will be running at the max speed and be able to press our stuff super quickly. Awesome. And the reason we needed this is because I was not about to sit there and do 32 copper ingots by hand. That is much better. All right, ingots are done. Let's go throw these in the stone cutter to make our wires. All right, and now that we have our wires, we just need our invar. So if you take the alloy smelter, we're going to add 2 iron ingots for every 1 nickel ingot, and that is going to make our invar. Let's go ahead and let that smelt up. Alrighty, and that is all of our invar ingots. Now we can go ahead and make these magnetic coils. Alright, that should be all that we need to make the superheating element, along with some power, but we should have some left over in there. Yeah, that should be enough. Am I crazy? Ah, yes, I need 3 more alloys. Let me go grab those. There we go. Now we have our superheating element. Let's go talk to the Echo again. Actually, before we talk to the Echo, we need to make this resistive heater. Now we should speak with the Echo of the fabricator. Not bad. You're already about as good as me at this, maybe better. I hope I was able to help you with something, though there's not much I could offer in the first place, and even less now. The more competent Echo should have more tasks for you. Now, what do we do for the world engine? I think all we need to do is just place it down and then run some pipes into the world engine. Okay, so it seems like heat is input through the left side of the world engine. Let's go ahead and throw down our resistive heater, and it says that we can configure the amount of usage. So I think it says it wanted 2,000 FE per tick. That is a lot of power. So what I think we can do with that is have a buffer. And to do that, I think I might want some of these cables, because these are much better cables and they can store more power. And I also want to upgrade this energy cube. Now let's let our energy cube fill up, and then we'll take it back to the world engine. Okay, we've got nearly 3 million FE. I'm going to take this and we're going to see what we can do with that. I'm just going to place my cable along with the energy cube. And then we're going to output on this side. Looks like we are using a lot of power and we are getting heat out. I wonder if that heat will stay though. Not 100% sure. We'll figure that out in a minute. Okay, so it looks like all of our power was used up by our cube. Temperature has hit 10,000 degrees Celsius in here. That is crazy. Let's see what happens when it runs out of energy. Maybe let's turn it off. See what happens. So the temperature does start to fall, but it is still increasing in No, it isn't increasing in here. Wow, you're telling me we need a lot of power for this thing. Wow. Okay, we'll fool with this more later. I'll probably fool with this actually off camera once I get a bunch of magmators set up. You guys saw me craft that, so that's something that I can just do. I'll get a bunch of that set up, and along with a flux network, which we're going to set up now, and then that will power this area right here. So yeah, the next step on our checklist is to get into flux networks for wireless power. And to do that, we're actually going to need to make blaze rods, because to do that, we need eyes of ender. We have the ender pearls, but we don't have blaze powder yet. So we either need a blaze rod chicken, or we need to get the dimensionalist, because the dimensionalist can brush netherrack for blaze powder. But I think that we will just go for this blaze rod chicken, which requires chicken seed tier 5s, which requires fluix pearls, these dimensional shard gems, some souls, and then the tier 5 requires tier 4, which we need black quartz and mending neurogel. Black quartz we can actually unearth from soul sand, and that's from the geologist, so we need to figure out how to get soul sand. And I think this is how we will get soul sand, using this conjuration essence. We have the recipe for this, so we can get some soul sand through that. And then once we get some soul sand, we can use a soul campfire to blast normal sand into soul sand. And then we need some of this mending neurogel. That means we'll need to get into cognition. And cognition definitely requires soul sand. Yeah, we need a lot of soul sand. So let's go ahead and get some soul sand. All right, and that is all of our conjuration essences. Now let's go ahead and make some soul sand. Beautiful. Now I'm going to use some of this soul sand to make a soul campfire. Do I need soul torches or something? There we go. All right, we got a soul campfire, and we'll use that later. I don't feel like doing that right now, but we're going to take some of this soul sand over to this guy. He will brush up the soul sand for us, and then we can make some more drawers and store all of that in it. What you got for me, bro? How many things? Anything? Oh, glowstone. Okay. So we just need black quartz and glowstone. That's all. Okay, let me make those now. Now that we have our black quartz, whoa. I just discovered something new. If you hold the N key, you can change the configurator using a radial tool. That is so useful. I will use that forever now. Wow. Wait, don't brush up all of this. I need some of it, because I need to use it to make stuff for cognition. I need this cognitive flux. Good thing I caught that, because I did not want to go sit in there and wait for more essences. Let us make our cognitive flux. Beautiful. So we need the molecular metamorpher, which requires a bunch of different stuff. Let me go ahead and craft all that now. Okay, we made an experience obelisk. Let's claim the rewards for that. We get a staff of attunement, a memory tablet, and some money. Let's see, experience holder, nice. So now we can input all of our experience. There we go. I think if you shift right click, this will store the position of our obelisk. Looks like this is a memory tablet. Interesting. Oh, wow. You can remotely access? How far? That's kind of crazy. You can just remotely access your experience. That's sick. The next thing we need to make is the molecular metamorpher. And there we go. We have the molecular metamorpher. Looks like they gave us some blobs of mending neurogel. Interesting, which we can use to craft into mending neurogel. Look at that. I think that is what we needed, though, for our chicken seed. Nice, and also a black quartz. So we should just be able to make that. Yeah, we just need the chicken soul tier 4. So let's go ahead and sacrifice one of our tier 4 chickens for that. See, the gold chicken is a yellow and iron chicken. So I'm sorry, gold chicken. You are going to have to go to the slaughter. And there we go. We have our soul tier 4, and we can craft tier 4 seeds. Beautiful. And to make this tier 5 seed, it looks like we'll need one more dimensional shard. This actually came from, I believe it was the Quantum Goat. Yeah, he gave us 2 of the dimensional shards, but we do need a third. And to craft that, we are missing prismarine shards, and to get those, we can use that haunting recipe. So what I'm going to do is actually use that soul campfire that I had, and we're going to need to make a fan from the Create mod. All right, and there's our encased fan. So now all I have to do is take the fan, point it, I believe, this way, throw it on the campfire, and then I can power the fan this way, as long as I use my wrench to turn that up that way. And then I can take this depot right here and place sand on there, and it will haunt it into soul sand. So we place our sand on, and after a while, it will become soul sand. And there we go, we have our soul sand. Processing by particle. So that is how we're going to get a renewable source of soul sand. We can just take some of the sand that is being made up over there and run it through with that and back into our system. So the other thing that we can do is this recipe with the lapis. So let's go ahead and throw some lapis in there. There we go. We got some prismarine shards and prismarine crystals. Okay, what's missing? We need the dimensional shard. We have that. We are missing the fluix pearl. We have that. Now we are missing the chicken soul tier 5s. So we need to make a couple of chickens at tier 5. So now they will breed and they will give us a blaze rod chicken. But we will need 2 more for the souls for the seeds. There's our blaze rod chicken. We can go ahead and put him in here and get his soul. Need 1 more for an additional soul. And we'll be able to make the tier 5 seeds. And there we go. We now have chicken seed tier 5. All right, we have our blaze rod chicken. Let's throw him into the roost with some seeds. And out come blaze rods. I was wondering where they were going. This is the same one that I automated using the lava chicken. Let's pull those out. Into fire. Quite an odd way to get blaze rods, but well, there we go. 16 blaze rods. Now using those, we can make some blaze powder, which we can use to make eyes of ender, which we can use for flux cores, for the flux block, for flux networks. We do need more of this. Looks like we need an ender cell nitro to do that. So that might actually have to wait. Unless we get another visit from the quantum goat. Yeah, we'll need more visits from the quantum goat than that. We probably would just have to do this to unlock flux networks. Seems like they're pushing us towards power instead, which is fine. We can use power for now. So let's shift our goal to the ender cell, because that is what we're going to need. I think I want to start out with the ender cell basic, which means we need the ender core, which means we need the energizing orb, which means we need to get this at 350C. That's going to be hard to do. I think we're just going to need a crap ton of power. So unfortunately, it seems that we're going to be unable to finish this last goal for the video, but that is okay. I will work towards setting up an ender cell that will allow us to get this in the next episode, because unfortunately that is all the time that I have for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out guys.